Stubbornness. In the middle of a desert lays a solid concrete cube where no roads lead, where no trails finish, where no countries raise their flags. On the concrete cube is a door with a spin-dial lock. A hooded man shuffles to the front of the door. He peers over his shoulder at the barren wasteland. He clutches the bag of groceries tightly. A lizard takes its time on the ground. The hooded man stomps his foot on the lizard, squashing its intestines and scales on the sand. The door shuts behind the hooded man. Inside the concrete cube is nothing but a bed and a table with an unmarked book on it. The hooded man takes out his groceries. He lays out the chicken, bread, peanut butter, and spinach leaves delicately, ceremoniously. In the corner of the room, there's a rumbling noise. The hooded man sighs and removes his hood. Underneath, there's a young man in his early 20s with bags under his eyes. His face is in a perpetual state of criminal conviction. He grabs a piece of chicken and slides to the corner of the room. A cardboard box sits there in pristine condition. There aren't any scratches or protrusions on the box. The man slides his hand on top of it, nursing it like a newborn. He opens the top and throws a piece of chicken inside. The box shakes slightly, and the rumbling ceases. The man servilely smiles and walks back to his desk. He eats the spinach and the raw chicken joyously whilst reading the unmarked book. His eyes follow the ballet of words on the thick pages. He only stops to take bites out of his food. He chomps on the cold, slimy chicken. His concentration is unbreakable and unbearable to any outside observer. He swallows down a sliver of chicken. The book the hooded man reads is riddled with the language alien to our worldly countries. The symbols are sharp and pointed, meeting at the tip. Ostensibly placed dots and curves surround the pointed symbols. The hooded man uses his broken malformed finger to follow the words. As a forethought, the hooded man puts the book down. His meal is done. In the corner of the room, the box rumbles again. The hooded man cranes his neck at the box, his face perplexed. He gets on his hands and knees and crawls towards the box. He sticks his tongue out like a lapdog and pants as he lessens the gap between him and the box. But the rumbling insists, shaking the man's home. The man jumps to his feet and runs to it. He cradles the cardboard lovingly, but the rumbling does not stop. He examines the corners and sees an indentation. The hooded man shrieks in terror and sprints to his desk. He pulls out duct tape and runs back to the box. The box vibrates, shaking the hooded man off his feet. The man crawls to the box and puts his hands up. He carefully touches the seams towards its injury. The box stops its ceaseless rumbling and lets the man do his work. The hooded man opens up the top of the box and sticks his hands inside. He pops out the indentation and grabs duct tape, ripping off a piece simultaneously. He gently layers it on top of the injury. The hooded man bends his knees and puts his face down to the ground. He mutters a deep and guttural incantation, raising his arms up and down in a rhythmic pattern. Suddenly, glass crashes behind him. The hooded man turns around looking left and right. He doesn't have any glassware, so the appearance of such an item is unsettling. The box is erratically rumbling, shifting over the concrete surface as if nails were grinding against a chalkboard. The hooded man doesn't understand. He fed and fixed the box. He's massaged it. He's taken care of it. He finds a hole. The hooded man's eyes bulge out of his head. He gets the duct tape and covers up the hole. He massages the box, laying his head on top. An ear-splitting noise makes the hooded man put his hands against his ears. The sound is deafening. The man looks around him, and before him is a shattered tree. The door to his home swings open. The man pushes all of the tree's remnants out of his home. He locks the door and comes back inside. He brushes his hands clean of the mess and relaxes, but as he walks towards his desk, he notices that the top of the box looks stomped on. Teeming with emotion, the hooded man almost cries. Around him, a cacophony of noises and crashes erupt, dislodging the hooded man from his seated position. Scattered around him are the disembodied broken heads of baby dolls, glass, splintered trees, bricks, plates, and that's all the man can see. He turns around and sees his box is completely destroyed. Not a peep is uttered. The man goes on his hands and knees and wraps the box with mounds of duct tape, but the box warps in on itself, destroying all image of what it once was. The man puts his face against the box, weeping. He's praying for everything to be as it once was, but as he continues to wrap the box with more and more duct tape, the world around him builds upon the broken remnants of miscellaneous objects like a giant mountain erecting out of the earth. His concrete home on the outside is breaking in on itself. The walls collapse into dust, becoming indiscernible from the desert ground. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to support the Simulation Podcast, you can donate to my Patreon account. Any amount would be extraordinarily helpful. The link will be in the description along with all my social media accounts.